Let's do it. It is hour 3 of the Daily Tip from BetQL presented by BetMGM. She's Chelsa Messenger. I'm Michael Jenkins. We come at you across the country live from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the East, Monday through Friday. Coming up in just a couple minutes, the biggest pros versus Joes game in the Sweet 16. Chelsa, I'm looking at your face. I'm looking at your demeanor. Now, I'm no psychologist, but it looks like you're having a bad morning. And we got to flip this. It's still early. It's 8 a.m. Maybe you need to go back to the zoo. Check out the monkey exhibit, the reptile exhibit, something to put a little pep in your step. What's going on over there in Nashville?
Yeah, I'm going to throw myself in the gorilla cage.
Good God.
I'm going to end it.
Wait. Is that, excuse me, man. Yeah. Is that, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is the tiger hungry? I've got someone who is just dying to get in there.
My luck is the tiger would be like, she doesn't look like a great meal. We're just going to leave her over there.
You know
I
what?
don't know. It's not been a great day. And the worst thing is when you're having a bad day and somebody asks you about it, and you're like, God, I got to think about the bad day that I'm having some more.
This is how bad your day probably is. Let's say that someone threw you into the tiger cage and the tiger walked over to you and was like, and then walked away. And you're like, are you serious? You're not even going to eat a human thrown in here for food? You'd be offended by the lion or the tiger not even trying to consume you. That'd make your day even worse. Like, man, I can't even be fresh meat for a zoo animal.
Yeah, the show took a depressing turn.
Yeah,
and Shay's not even involved, so that's a first.
We didn't have Shay's pit of misery today, so someone had to go very, very low. We'll turn things around for you. What do you got going on the rest of the day?
Hopefully a nap. Hopefully something to clear the vibes. Maybe I need some incense. I'm going to do a Kyrie Irving cleanse of the house, and I'll probably set off the fire alarm. Can't wait for that.
Might I suggest to you the old Aaron Rodgers cleanse? Because I'll tell you something, after a couple of enemas and some mindfulness meditation, guess what? He felt very grateful.
God, do you think I'm like Aaron Rodgers, though? We're not the same person.
I'm just trying to get you in a good mood. I'm saying maybe he was going through a rough spot. He needed a cleanse. Maybe you could take some advice from the Packers quarterback. After he had the cleanse, guess what? It's not a huge deal.
I just think I would be very hangry. Doesn't that involve fasting? I ain't doing that. That's for damn sure.
Well, this is a road that we're going down, and there's just no coming back from it. So we're just going to have to let you be in a bad mood. It is a Daily Tip from BetQL presented by BetMGM. She's Chelsa Messenger, who refuses to fast. I'm Michael Jenkins. Coming up in 8 minutes, how the Tyreek Hill trade impacts both the AFC East and the AFC West. But first, we have tournament basketball tonight. The Sweet 16 gets back underway. You can see our bracket right now on Twitch, where we stream, twitch.tv/BetQL. Let's bring in Shay. We don't get Shay's pit of misery, but we do get to hear his wholesome pipes. Shay, come on in here and set up these games for us.
Yeah, if you want a little bit of a pit of misery, perhaps, the fact that we have a game that starts at 9:59 Eastern time, that's miserable. Even if we didn't work at 3 a.m, I think 9:59 Eastern time tip is a bit ridiculous. We gotta maybe start these games an hour earlier or something. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, what time's that game gonna finish? Midnight? Yep. Good God.
If it doesn't go to overtime, midnight, 12:30, yeah. So let's get started with the slate. Gonzaga and Arkansas, the total 154.5. Gonzaga 9.5-point favorite. 7 p.m. Eastern time. First tip there. Gonzaga opened 8.5. Pros versus Joes here. Gonzaga getting 40% of the tickets and 58% of the handle. So some line movement against the ticket percentage. Little bit of public action on Arkansas, but the money movement is going towards the Zags, Chelsa.
I'll be on Gonzaga here in the first half. I think Arkansas usually gets their offense going by their defense, creating turnovers, and they pick the pockets of teams that aren't great at taking care of the basketball. But you look at Gonzaga, they're a good team at taking care of the basketball, top 30 in turnover percentage, and a team that's really good offensively. Arkansas is athletic. They play great defense, but they are not great shooters. Gonzaga is great shooters. So I think this is a team that if Arkansas gets in a hole early, it's going to be really hard for them to come back. Because the problem with Arkansas, if you watch some of their games, they'll shoot threes, even if they are ice cold. One of these games, I think they were shooting 18% in the SEC tournament from the three-point line, and they continued to jack up threes. So I think Arkansas is not a great team when playing in big holes against great offensive teams. So I would lean towards Gonzaga in the first half because usually Arkansas is one of those teams that starts off really slow against good shooting teams. So I'll go Gonzaga in the first half. It was 4.5. Maybe it's 5.5. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's just at 5, but I like Gonzaga to cover the number in the first half.
I'm going to go Gonzaga full game. I'm with the pros on this one. This is not a blind follow because sometimes the public gets it right, but I think this number is short based on what we saw from Gonzaga earlier in this tournament when they struggled with Memphis most recently in the first half, then finally came alive in the second half. They're just better across the board here, which is why this number is so high. But Arkansas is a team that wants to get in the lane. They want high percentage shots. I think they're going to have a hard time doing that against Chet Holmgren and that interior defense of Gonzaga. That's going to force them to shoot more shots from the perimeter. As you mentioned, Chelsa, that is not their strength. Gonzaga pulls away, finally looks great. I will lay the 9.5 with the Zags.
Yeah, something's got to give here. Neither of these teams have covered in either of their first two tournament games, but a little bit of a difference because Gonzaga was laying like 20-something in their first round game and then caught an absolutely red-hot Memphis team. Arkansas has struggled to cover against much worse competition. I'm going to go with the team I view as being significantly better and take Gonzaga tonight. Next up on the slate, Villanova takes on Michigan. The Wildcats, a 4.5-point favorite, total 135.5, 7:30 Eastern time first tip. Total went up by 1 point over the last 24 hours, and the over is getting 78% of the handle at BetMGM, Chelsa.
That's interesting. Talking about the total, I have not looked at that, but you look at Villanova, they're a team that slows the tempo down, but they're also very efficient shooters. And I think the question mark for me is, can they slow down Hunter Dickinson for Michigan, who played out of his mind against Tennessee, was dominating in the paint and also hitting his threes. And when you have a big man that can go to the top of the key and hit those threes and you're really putting the defense on skates like that, it's really tough to defend. But looking at this Villanova team, I think overall they are the better, more fundamentally sound team. Looking at a team that number one in the nation in free throw percentage. You talk about a game that if it is close down the stretch and you have a team that's hitting 82% of their free throws, they're really close to breaking, I think, the season-long historic mark for a team and free throw percentage. That's a team I want to trust. A team that's top 30 in defense and offense, according to Kim Pom. Also, do not turn the ball over. So I'm going to go with the more fundamentally sound team and the team with a wealth of experience. They've got a ton of veterans playing in this one. So I think I'm fading Michigan here. I think they've had a nice run, but it ends tonight against Villanova.
I'm going to be on the other side here. I was tempted to go with Villanova, but I just love the way Michigan is playing right now. And we know the formula for Villanova is going to be to jack it up. Keep shooting those threes. Keep firing from outside. I do think they're going to have problems with Michigan on the inside the way Hunter Dickinson is playing right now. He has been better than he was during the regular season, which was already spectacular. And the Wolverines have a size advantage I think they can use. I know that Ohio State had one as well, but Michigan excels more in that area. I think they use size more to their advantage, and I think this is too many points. This is a Michigan team that was predicted by many to make the Final Four before the season. Now they're starting to realize their potential, which we didn't really see during Big Ten play. Give me the Wolverines +5.
I was on Michigan in their first two games, both against the spread and outright. I will not be on Michigan tonight. Villanova, I think, is just too good. Michigan really has struggled all season to contest shots, and that's the only time Villanova's really been in positions where they'll struggle. So I really just think this is a spot where Villanova is going to score in bunches against a Michigan defense that can be kind of caught out. People think it's like the John Beilein Michigan of old. The defense is their reputation. It's their calling card. It's not that team anymore. This is a very different Michigan team. I think Villanova's well equipped to beat them by margin. In the West, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, the late slate starts with Duke and Texas Tech, and Duke a 1.5-point dog, total 137.5, Chelsa.
Something's got to give in this one because you have a Duke offense that can score points in bunches. Number 4 in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency. And then Texas Tech, the number 1 defense in the land, according to Kim Pom. But the thing is, I think the Duke basketball team has some outliers that might skew this in their favor. Most namely, Paolo Banchero, one of the best players in the entire nation when it comes to college basketball. And we see this when some of these outright stars, are playing their best basketball, it's hard to stop them. So I know Texas Tech has a good defense, and I think they're probably going to frustrate them at least a little bit in the first half. But the way Duke's been shooting the ball as well, I think plays a factor here. I'll take the points with Duke. I know it's a square play. It's not my favorite play, but I'll take the 1.5 with Duke.
I am all over Texas Tech. This line, I believe, is a trap. Everyone is on Duke. Almost 80% of bettors betting the Blue Devils. Texas Tech doesn't just have a great defense. They have the best defense in the country. The only thing that scares me is what Joe G was talking about. Will the referees lose their minds and call ticky-tack fouls against the Red Raiders early on because of Coach K? Like, oh, and Bryson Williams gets a technical. You cannot breathe that close to Coach K. He's won 5 national titles. That is a deserved foul. No. Give me Texas Tech money line minus 115. I think they end the Blue Devils' run as long as the refs don't lose their minds.
I'm going with Duke here as well. I think that they actually should be favored in this spot. And I know I have to ride with the public here. The public gets it right sometimes. And I just think this is a spot where I'd rather be on Duke than on Texas Tech. Final game of the night, saving, in my opinion, the best for last. Arizona, a 1.5 point favorite against the Houston Cougars, total 145.5, and the ridiculous 10 o'clock Eastern time first tip. Arizona as a 1.5 point favorite, getting 68% of the tickets and 75% of the handle, Jinx.
I'm going to go with, you know what? I just have to stick with Arizona. My gut says that Houston's going to win this game, but I have to stick with Arizona because I have a 6-1 future on them to win it all. So my side for Arizona is that they're battle tested, particularly after that overtime win against TCU. They have the best athletes on the court, particularly with Benedict Mathurin, who had that monster jam. He is a legitimate NBA prospect. So I'll go Arizona minus 1.5, but the Cougs, COOGS, just might pull it off here.
I think the metrics certainly favor Houston in this one. Man, are they solid on paper. Top 10 offensively and defensively when it comes to adjusted efficiency. But the question I have for Houston in this one is, when's the last time they played a close game? Looking at the scores of these games, they have not played in a game that they haven't won by less than 10 since losing to Memphis all the way back in the AAC conference tournament. So I'm not sure if they're ready and not rusty when it comes to playing this level of competition. I'm aware, they've been playing the NCAA tournament, but I don't know. You look at this Arizona team coming off that overtime win. I'm wondering if they're a little sharper in this one than Houston, but I'll take the points with the Cougs. I think they're a little underrated here just because they've been so good, both offensively and defensively all season long. So I'll take the 1.5.
Houston here as well. Houston on the money line. The 1.5 minus 110 doesn't interest me nearly as much as getting a little bit of plus money with the money line. And I think Houston has the ability to win this game. I love seeing Arizona getting the public money. And I love seeing the fact that even though they are, that point spread is not moving at all. In fact, little bit of reverse line movement because this opened at 2. So Houston gaining a 0.5 point on the spread despite the public being all over Arizona. I love the Cougs tonight.
This is the Daily Tip from BetQL presented by BetMGM. Coming up in 7 minutes, we'll bring in the prop queen, Ariel Epstein, get her thoughts on tonight's game. We have a little bit of time to talk about the huge trade in the NFL yesterday, Chelsa. Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins, becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. He gets a 4-year, $120 million extension. In return, the Chiefs get this year's first, second, and fourth round picks, plus next year's fourth, sixth round picks as well. So the Chiefs now have 2 picks in each of the first 4 rounds. Long term, this is probably best for the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes. He's getting paid a ton. Short term, great for the Dolphins, who now have all the weapons that Tua Tagovailoa should need.
Here's where it's interesting. The success of Tyreek Hill hinges largely on how well Tua can get him the ball. That's how it's different. You look at quarterbacks getting all this money. They're largely in control of their own destiny. I know the offensive line and the weapons around him matter, but Tyreek Hill is a down the field threat, one of the best receiving options in the NFL. In recent history, But the problem with Tua is he has not been accurate in getting the ball down the field. So something's got to give. I don't think that the Dolphins would go out and get this guy if they didn't have faith in Tua being able to do these type of passes. But we just haven't seen it. So something's got to give. I certainly hope we see more of Cheetah down the field, especially in Miami.
As far as Super Bowl odds are concerned, the Chiefs fell back a little bit, as you might expect. Plus 750 2 weeks ago, tied with the best with the Bills. Today, sitting at 9-1. That is third best. Coming up next, where does the prop queen Ariel Epstein find the most value tonight? We are talking March Madness on a Thursday. This is the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM.